Well, well, well. It's that special time of year where we say goodbye to the old and ring in the new. Almost. We're almost there, guys. Hey everybody, it is Peg, your resident history nerd, slash super reader, book reviewer, YouTube influencer. No, not really. It's the day before New Year's Eve, guys, and I thought today's going to be the day. And coming to you with a really long video because I'm going to get through this stack so I can start fresh in just a few days' time for 2026. It's a mega 2025 book, year-end review of the final books I've received from publishers for 2025, and it's a mix of fiction and history, mostly history, but there's a few fiction I'm throwing in here that seemed appropriate. So yeah, without further ado, first of all, hey, how are you guys doing out there? Did you have a nice Christmas? I hope you did. Hope you had good holidays. If you celebrate, if you don't, I just hope you had a good time with friends and fam. Yeah, that is not for this stack. Feels like I'm a little out of practice. Yeah, we've been hanging here, having fun with Teddy, the new puppy. Doesn't look like a puppy, but she is. She's 8 months old. And now they're taking a little break. Martina's at the dentist. So yay. So we got New Year's Eve coming up. A first note of business. I want to say this right now. Tomorrow, New Year's Eve, live stream. Me, Bill Rutenberg. Be there or be square. We're going to start at, let's start off with Eastern time for all you guys. It's going to be 3 to 5 Eastern, 2 to 4 Central, 1 to 3 Mountain, 12 to 2 Pacific. So hop in. We're going to be doing a live stream, and we'll take your questions, your comments. We'll plop you up on the screen. I've got this new StreamYard studio set up where I can, got some bells and whistles, like I said, so I'm getting used to using it a little bit more. But that's going to be tomorrow. So that should be fun. And we're going to catch up on just a lot of the reading that we've done over the last couple months since our last video, our last live stream, which is a lot. We've done a lot of reading, that's for sure. So, and then we'll just be, talking with you guys in the comments and stuff. So spend a little bit of New Year's Eve with us as we count down to a new year, to the approaching 2026. All right. Well, let's just start off. I'm going to start off with a very interesting book. And I believe this would probably fit into my indie author spotlight video more than anything else. I haven't had a chance to dip in yet. I just got the print copy a couple weeks ago, but I am very much intrigued. And this is the Bequest of John T. Ward by Shanna Ward. And it's a big, beefy book. In The Bequest of John T. Ward, author Shanna Ward uncovers the extraordinary true story of her ancestor, a formerly enslaved child who became a fearless abolitionist, Underground Railroad conductor, political organizer, and Black entrepreneur. Through vivid storytelling and deep historical research, Ward brings to life a forgotten legacy of courage, sacrifice, and resistance. John T. Ward defied slavery, working alongside abolitionists in Ohio to transport freedom seekers through treacherous routes to liberation. His fight didn't end with emancipation. He became a leader in the colored conventions movement, advocating for Black voting rights, education, and economic empowerment. In 1881, he founded Ward Transfer and Storage, one of America's oldest Black-owned businesses, still in operation today. But this isn't just history, it's a call to action. What happened to the land in Virginia that was rightfully bequeathed to the Ward family by Revolutionary War Lieutenant John Ward? Why was it taken? So there's a couple of things going on in this book then, not just kind of an overview of John T. Ward and his place in American history, especially in the abolitionist movement, Black studies, Black history, but also sounds like there was a land dispute. So this is going to be great, but and there's a lot of like illustrations. I'm not sure how much. Some of these might be AI artwork. I've kind of been noticing how AI has been looking lately with images that people generate for books. But this looks great, and it's written by an ancestor. And this is published by, it's published by Palladium Publishing. This is out right now. The Bequest of John T. Ward. Okay. Now we're going to get right into some stuff here, some hard-hitting history that I have been meaning to get to. I hope I can get to this soon because I talked to the publicist about potentially interviewing this author. I've read one of his books already on Poland, 1939. And this is British military historian Roger Morehouse's Wolf Pack, Inside Hitler's U-Boat War. Very happy to get this one. This is from Basic Books. Who doesn't love a book on U-boats? I don't know anyone who isn't. Winston Churchill once remarked that the only threat to truly frighten him was the peril of Nazi U-boats. Over the course of World War II, Germany's submariners, I got it right. Some people say submariners, but the correct way to pronounce it is submariners. So, submariners sank over 3,000 Allied ships, nearly 3/4 of Allied shipping. And Martine's calling me, so hang on. Okay, thank you. Where were we? She's coming home from the dentist. So, in the process, let me start over. Over the course of World War II, Germany's submariners sank over 3,000 Allied ships, nearly 3/4 of Allied shipping losses in all theaters of the war. In the process, the submariners endured horrific conditions and suffered a 75% death rate, the highest of any arm of service in the conflict. Yet their story has never been told in full. In Wolfpack, historian Roger Morehouse tells the story of the U-boat war from the point of view of the German submariners. He tracks these men from the enthusiasm of the war's early days, buoyed with optimism about their cause, through the challenges of the Allied counter-threat, to the final horrors of enemy capture and death in the depths. It is a story of courage, certainly, but also of fear, privation, and ultimately failure. Drawing extensively on war diaries, archival records, and the voices of the German submariners themselves, Wolfpack is a story of technological brilliance, dramatic naval engagements, and extraordinary human endurance. Yes. And I was actually listening to a podcast. The Spectator has a really good book reviews or a book podcast. And I've learned so much from some of those and discovered some authors I've never read before. And they interviewed Roger Morehouse. I believe it was the Spectator one. Either that or Aspects of History. But they were talking a lot about Das Boot, the movie and the book. And boy, I was like, I want to go down that rabbit hole. I want to rewatch the movie, the director's cut. It was all 3.5 hours of it. Read this book. And I asked if he would be willing, because this book actually came out a few months ago or a couple months ago, if he'd be willing to come on for an interview, after the publication date, like in January or February. And she said, yeah, he'd be willing to. So let me get this on my TBR for January. Wolfpack by Roger Morehouse. All right, next book we have. This one was sent to me a little later. This came out in November, so this is actually out right now. But this is Advanced Britannia, the epic story of the Second World War, 1942 to 45 by Alan Allport. This is put out by Knopf Publishing. I got the advanced review copy. Yeah, I'm not sure how I got it really late, so but let's take a look here. The Japanese, gone berserk, have struck in the Pacific, joined up with the Axis, declared war on us, one British soldier wrote in his diary. So the Yanks are now our comrades in arms, and the whole world's ablaze. By 1942, Churchill found himself facing a vastly different war than the one he'd inherited from Neville Chamberlain. Hang on, I'm going to make room for my microphone here. There we go. In the East, the Soviets were now a co-belligerent, if not exactly a firm ally, and the aid he'd so longed for from across the Atlantic had finally arrived when Pearl Harbor pushed America to end its dithering and buggering about. That's apparently what he said. But with Parliament and the public losing faith in him, Churchill had to manage a war that now stretched into the Pacific and Indian Oceans, threatening Britain's colonies, all the while negotiating a new relationship with Roosevelt and Stalin, two jostling, unpredictable comrades in arms, fully prepared to carve up the world to their own satisfaction. Oh, I see. Oh, this is fantastic, you guys. In this sequel to his prize-winning Britain at Bay, which I do believe I have. So I need to go back and make sure I get that one read first. Alan Allport completes his superlative history of Britain's role in World War II, once again weaving together the political, military, social, and cultural to tell a multifaceted story of a country forced to endure the profound stresses of total war. Now Britain is no longer at bay, but any victory remains far off, and its costs will be great. Can the British win the war without sacrificing so much along the way that they then lose the peace? I'm going to go see if I got that book. Hang on. Well, no, I don't. I have it right now, but I'm going to find it because I know where it's at. But I didn't realize this was the sequel. So fantastic. And I'm going to try to get the finished copy as well. I might try to make that a reading project for next year. I've got so many things that I want to read that I have to be really realistic about what I can get done, what with all my book review work that I do in my spare time. But I love, like, what do you call it? Duology or whatever, not a trilogy. I love that this is focused just on Britain and how they fought the war. So let me go ahead and make a note to myself before I forget. Find first book and put that down as one of my potential reading projects that I want to do for 2026. Lots of ideas. I just need to be realistic about what I can get done. Britain at Bay. Yeah. Okay, great, guys. Yay. So that one is out right now, Advanced Britannia by Knopf. All right, let's head over to this little book that was sent to me. It came out this year, probably in the last couple months. I work with the publicist for Kronos Books. I don't work with him, but we collaborate, and he sends me heads up on new books that he knows that are in my my area of interest. And this is from this is Kronos Books, right? Kronos. Nope. Okay. This is Christian Alternative Books. All right. And this is The Lost Road, A Search for the Soul of the West by Sean McGrath. And this is a finished copy, little paperback. In this genre-defying book, author Sean McGrath explains why we must look more closely at our secular society's religious roots to counteract the destructive spiritual forces consumerism has unleashed on the earth. Modernity, the author argues, is a Christian heresy. It can only be corrected through a religious conversion of Christians, post-Christians, and their children. What must be recovered is Christianity's contemplative and mystical attitude, but it must be recovered in a non-nostalgic way that moves forward into the ecological civilization that is coming to painful birth in our time. The Lost Road is in part an autobiographical narrative that recounts a lifelong search for contemplative Christianity, as well as an ongoing interrogation into why it's so difficult to find, sustain, and share. Okay, so that sounds like something definitely up my alley. Yep. This is why he sent it to me. Part one is autobiographical, My Search for Truth. And then part two is like The End of the West. So yeah, let me see what I can find out about this book as far as great endnotes in here. Ooh. Okay. This one, and I'm going to elevate this one to bedside table reading. He's got a little disquisition here on Paul, which I've been actually quite interested in lately. I've been, oh yeah, see, the endnotes are just providing me with more resources for further reading, which I love. Part one, My Search for Truth. Anyway, references, everything's there. Yeah, let me get back to you guys on this. But The Lost Road by Sean McGrath. What I'll do is I'm gonna by Christian Alternative Publishing. I'm gonna make another note on my trusty little Post-its. I've got notebooks about planning things for my videos. I should probably even talk about how I journal. I've seen videos on YouTube about people journaling and how they journal. I have ideas in here. I write them down. I check them off when I'm done, like my interviews I do, my book reviews, and whether I've posted them to social media. I still have like 10 of them I need to post. But yeah, I got this little nifty planner. And as you can see, I'm just beginning. Oh, I got some stuff for December that I was going to do. Let me see. Did I do them all? I'm working on it. I'm editing a book right now. So yeah, there's a lot going on at the History Shelf, but I love it. Anyway, so yeah, Sean McGrath. What I could do is make a video series where I just kind of, do a book review or talk about my thoughts on a book pertaining to Christian themes and things like that. So maybe like a Christian themed book review segment. And I would like to come back to you guys and talk to you what The Lost Road was about and how, if it helped me any as a Christian. Okay. Wow. Just all the ideas are coming to me right on the cusp of 2026. Who knew? All right. What else has shown up in my at the History Shelf from these lovely publishers? So this was a book that came out in December. So like I said, this is like the mega year-end new book arrivals for 2025. So this is one we missed earlier, but it's brand spanking new from Harper Books. And this is The Most Awful Responsibility. Let me get that glare out of the way. Truman and the Secret Struggle for Control of the Atomic Age by Alex Wellerstein. Fantastic. I got a nice finished copy of that. The more I read about Truman, I mean, outside of just the difficult, I don't even want to say difficult because that's an understatement, having to grapple with the decision to drop the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But outside of that, I've really come to really like Truman for so many things that he did right. But let's see what this one's about. That glare. Hi, Daisy. You can see Daisy over there by the window. She's like, Mom's doing it again. She's making these videos. In the 8 decades since the United States deployed the most destructive weapon ever used, conventional wisdom has held that American leaders were faced with a difficult choice. Invade Japan, which would have cost millions of Japanese and American, and Allied lives in bloody combat, or use the fearsome atom bomb in the hopes of convincing the Japanese emperor to surrender. President Truman, and what many have come to regard as an immoral decision, ordered the military to drop the bomb. Now, esteemed historian Wellerstein challenges that long-held narrative. Okay, all right, let's see. In The Most Awful Responsibility, Wellerstein offers a more complex and nuanced portrayal of Truman, showing a president entangled in secrecy, rushing against time, and operating with limited information. Contrary to the long-held belief that Truman was the decisive force behind the bombings, this book reveals how he was largely unacquainted with the specifics of Hiroshima and Nagasaki's targeting until after the fact. That I believe, because I do believe he he wasn't all up in those the targeting, he was the final where the buck stops here, that's where he kind of came in, and just listened to his military people, and scientists, and then made a decision. Okay, Teddy. Wellerstein explains how there was no formal decision to use the bomb, nor did President Truman likely know that Hiroshima or Nagasaki were heavily populated cities. Once the bombs were dropped, Truman began a years-long struggle for control of the awesome power of atomic weapons, the ramifications of which are still felt today. The release of this book could not be more timely. It arrives as discussions on nuclear policy grow more urgent in light of escalating tensions among global nuclear powers, highlighting the importance of understanding the roots of nuclear proliferation. Fabulous. Yeah. Oh, there's so many books. There's so many books. I want to read everything. I want to know what the newest thing is saying. So I gotta find the time. I gotta make time for this one, because this is fascinating. I love it when it offers like a new argument. And in this case, it's saying Truman really didn't know as much, but we'll see. We'll see once we get into it. So this one is out right now. Came out December 9th from Harper. The Most Awful Responsibility. Okay, we got a lot of books to get through. 21 minutes. All right. One of the fun things about having this channel and being around for 6 or 7 years now in the booktube space, and then my work as an editor and a freelance book reviewer, and my name is known now to publishers and publicists, and they have my email address, which is in my my About tab. If you go to About tab, and it'll show you, like, if you can click on business email address, click on that, and then you can email me. And you know what? I would love to hear from all of you. If you ever feel like you want to email me, ask a question, just know, I work a full-time job, so it might take me a few days to get back to you, but my business email address is in there. Anyway, that's how people reach me sometimes. And this was one of them. And I was like, I'm very interested. Please do send me a copy. This is a memoir. And this is Hitler and My Mother-in-Law, by Therese Svoboda. And this is from OR Books, which is a publisher I have not heard of before. OR Books. So let me tell you a little bit about this one, guys. All right. There's a lot to read here. Hitler and My Mother-in-Law is a riveting memoir that explores the intersection of truth, both familial and political, through the colorful and complex life of the author's mother-in-law. Okay, so here we go. In a time like our own, of intense propaganda and manipulation, the only World War II female correspondent who covered both theaters of war, Pat Hartwell, identified Hitler from a pile of ashes for the U.S. military. Wow. And the troops awarded her with $1 million painting from Hitler's study. Really? That's the question that they ask here in the pub sheet. Really? She was the only woman in the CBS newsroom, assistant to the head of the Office of War Information, VP of one of the largest public relations companies in the world, third in command of UNICEF, where she convinced Matisse to provide artwork for free. Wow. Editor of her own Arizona newspaper, where she hustled naive art on the side, and eventually head of the Hawaiian Arts Council, a state of extremely complex political and social stakeholders, where she left a legacy of preventing art fraud. This woman, she did everything. Her story is a fascinating journey through history, art, and deception. The memoir delves into the art of invention and the shape-shifting of memory and truth, interwoven with humorous yet profound moments. It examines the comical Soviet efforts to conceal Hitler's death, McCarthy's investigations, and the author's own struggle to compete with both her mother and her mother-in-law. Oh, you poor woman. Threaded throughout are insights into organizations that malign the word mother, and of course, plenty of mother-in-law jokes. Fabulous. With meticulous research and a unique perspective, Hitler and My Mother-in-Law challenges the boundaries of narrative honesty, offering a powerful exploration of propaganda, identity, and the personal reckoning that defines the art of memoir. It's a gripping mix of history, family humor, and a biting reflection on the politics of truth, past and present. And here's our author here. Look at that. This came out in October. So this, like I said, I got this. I felt like I don't know. I have so many options for author interviews that I would love to actually have her on as well. But this sounds like just a really quirky, but also very cool and original history memoir. And there's Pat Hartwell, Burning Nazi Paraphernalia. Look at that. You do it. You go, lady. And I love memoirs. So this sounds just my kind of nutty. I don't say nutty, but it's a little bit of everything. And it's got mother-in-law jokes. So what are you going to do? You got to read this. This is from OR Books. Again, this is going to be another one. I'll get back to you guys on if I dip into this and I want to do an author interview, not an author review. You know what? Be nice to me. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I don't even remember how this came to me. I don't know if a publisher said, hey, would you like to take a look at a copy of this? I think I did. I said yes. I thought it was going to be an ARC, just a, advanced reader copy, recycle it when I'm done. No, they sent me the finished copy, and it's a beast. And this is probably going to be a little bit above my my brain power, but I'm gonna see. I'm gonna dip in and see if it grabs my interest. And what is it? What could it be? It's this big. I almost said big ass. Oh, I just did. It's a big ass book on capitalism, folks, is what it is. Capitalism: A Global History by Sven Beckert. Oh, he wrote Empire of Cotton, which is fantastic. Oh, well, if you liked Empire of Cotton, then I think I could do this. I've read him before. So this is from Penguin Press. So thank you to the folks at Penguin Press. But look at this. Look how big this book is. We are looking at, oh, this is, wow. 13. This is probably like one of the biggest books I own. Over 1,300 pages. So maybe the March of the Mammoths. This might be, I'll reserve some time in March for Capitalism, A Global History by Sven Beckert. Let's see. I won't read the whole thing here because there's a lot. Oh, and I think Martine's home and the dogs are going to bark. 1 second. All right. So I'll say this about this. A landmark event, years in the making, a brilliant global narrative that unravels the defining story of the past 1,000 years of human history. No other phenomenon has shaped human history as decisively as capitalism. It structures how we live and work, how we think about ourselves and others, how we organize our politics. Sven Beckert, author of the Bancroft Prize-winning Empire of Cotton, places the story of capitalism within the largest conceivable geographical and historical framework. I would say so, being 1,300 plus pages. Tracing its history during the past millennium and across the world. An epic achievement, his book takes us into merchant businesses in Aden and car factories in Turin, onto the terrifyingly violent sugar plantations in Barbados, and within the world of women workers in textile factories in today's Cambodia. And then there's so much more about what it covers. So this is, probably his life's, his magnum opus, as it were. I mean, just look at this book. Wow. This is something you got to take your time with. Maybe try to read a chapter a day or every other day is how I would have to approach this bad boy. But we got Capitalism by Sven Beckert from Penguin Press, which is out now. I need to put this next to Empire of Cotton. In fact, I got to find that copy. where I'm at here. All right. Oh, and I wanted to show you this. I did get a finished copy of this book you've seen on this channel before, but this is the brand new big bodacious history of the Spanish-American War. And I had a very small galley of it, which was hard to read. And so the publisher was Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. Boom, I got this beautiful Splendid Liberators, Heroism, Betrayal, Resistance, and the Birth of American Empire by Joe Jackson. So this is definitely one I can read more than that galley. And it's the brand new history on the Spanish-American War. Like I said, I've shown this on the channel before. So I just wanted to give a shout out for this beautiful, look at the spine. That is how books, yes, I love having the artwork on the spine. This is going to look great on the bookshelf. But I look forward to reading it as well, now that I can read the type. So Splendid Liberators by Joe Jackson and Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. I wanted to mention this book because I was on a webinar with some authors. I think it was hosted either through Library Journal or Publishers Weekly, probably Publishers Weekly, I think. And this author was on there, and she's talking about her memoir, and it really appealed to me, being a veteran. And so I reached out and to see if I could get a copy of her book, and I sure did. And this is Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, a veteran's memoir by Khadijah Queen. This is put out by Legacy Lit Publishers. And I was really intrigued by her story, like I said, during that webinar. So let me read to you a little bit about this, and then you'll see what interested me. Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea is a poet's memoir about family survival and one servicewoman's search for autonomy. Yanked out of college and torn from her sunny hometown of Los Angeles in the early 1990s, Khadijah Queen finds herself sharing a basement apartment with her mother and sister and working 2 retail jobs in snowy, tiny Inkster, Michigan. I lived very close to Inkster, Michigan. I was born very close to Inkster, Michigan. Longing to escape the cycle of her family's poverty, incarceration, and addiction, she joins the U.S. Navy, determined to earn money to finish college and make it back to L.A. on her own terms. But soon after Queen completes her grueling training and boards a doomed destroyer, she finds herself faced with near constant sexual harassment, demeaning labor assignments, and overt racism. Stuck on a ship with nowhere to hide, she looks to poetry, literature, and letters from home to get through the long days and maintain her dignity. She keeps her head down until the workplace hostility against women spills over into her dating life and threatens to derail everything she has worked for. In trying to break through the unspoken code of silence between sailors, Queen must decide where her loyalties lie, with the Navy or within herself. Unflinching and masterfully penned, this memoir questions the promises of service to reveal the true price of being a woman at sea. So that appeals to me, both as a veteran and a woman. And I wanted to hear her story. So very excited for this one. Like I said, I've got a TBR that reaches to the lower foothills here in Colorado. But still, yes, this is one I look forward to reading. Oh, let's see here. I was contacted by a publicist about this book. And this is a University Press book. So, I love University Press books. And this is, a biography, maybe. This is from the University of North Carolina Press. And this is House of Diggs. The Rise and Fall of America's Most Consequential Black Congressman, Charles C. Diggs, Jr. This is by Marion Orr. So, yeah, University of North Carolina Press. You see that? Okay. At the height of the Civil Rights Movement, Charles C. Diggs, Jr., who lived from 1922 to 1998, was the consummate power broker. In a political career spanning 1951 to 1980, Diggs, Michigan's first Black member of Congress, was the only federal official to attend the trial of Emmett Till's killers, worked behind the scenes with Martin Luther King Jr., and founded the Congressional Black Caucus. He was also the chief architect of legislation that restored home rule to Washington, D.C., and almost single-handedly ignited the American anti-apartheid movement in the 1960s. Drawing on extensive archival research, including Diggs's rarely seen personal papers, FBI documents, and original interviews with family members and political associates, political scientist Marion Orr reveals that Diggs practiced a politics of strategic moderation. Orr argues that this quiet approach was more effective than the militant race politics practiced by Adam Clayton Powell and more appealing than the conservative Chicago-style approach of William Dawson, two of Diggs's better-known Black contemporaries. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And I know when after I read this, I know who to send this to. I've got a friend who would like to read this. You know who you are. So House of Diggs by Marion Orr. And I'd like to learn about Charles C. Diggs Jr. I'm ashamed to say I don't know much, but we can remedy that. I got two more books that came in a little bit later. I did a recent, wait, let me see. Is this for January though? Could I say this for No. There were two books that I missed covering that were in my, that were not in my University of Nebraska Press spotlight video, which was my last video. So let me go ahead and get these two in because I'm already starting to receive some of their January titles. This is Guns, Furs, and Gold. Or did I already show you this? No, I don't. I feel like I've shown you this, but I probably have not. This book came out December 1st, and if I've got a duplicate copy, then I need to send one out to all of you guys. This is Guns, Furs, and Gold, An American West History of Indigenous Peoples and Explorers by Larry E. Morris. This book offers a riveting narrative of the American West by exploring the interactions of the Araucaras, Crows, Cheyennes, and Arapahoes with each other and with Euro-American traders, explorers, and settlers from 1804, when Meriwether Lewis and William Clark embarked on their voyage of discovery, to 1864, when the U.S. Army attacked both Confederate forces in the South and Native nations in the West. I'm quite certain I have not shown this to you yet because I don't recall reading this. Larry E. Morris recounts the 19th century experience of these four tribes by detailing their interactions with four legendary survivors of a fight with the Araucaras in 1823. These renowned figures include the remarkable trailblazer Jedediah Smith, the unparalleled interpreter Edward Rose, the premier guide and Indian agent Thomas Fitzpatrick, and the grizzly bear mauling survivor Hugh Glass. Excellent. Their careers illuminate Hugh Glass, in case you didn't know, for a pop culture reference here, The Revenant, the movie with, what's his face? Leonardo DiCaprio, and that famous bear mauling scene, that was Hugh Glass, baby. Their careers illuminate the fate of four Indian nations, revealing how, despite the best efforts of several explorers to treat the indigenous peoples respectfully, the guns, furs, disease, and gold rushes of the interlopers put the Indians' way of life, their lands, and their very lives at grave risk. I think that was repeated. The 60-year period comes to a close when more than 150 Plains Indians, most of them women, children, and elderly, were ambushed and slaughtered by Colonel John Chivington's 3rd Colorado Cavalry on the banks of Sand Creek. Sand Creek was awful. Just a horrible, just appalling, heinous, depraved attack of just pure evil. There's no way to get around what Sand Creek was. But anyway, Guns, Furs, and Gold by Larry E. Morris. This is fantastic. I really love this stuff. I love American West history, and I've gotten some really good ones this year. Father Pierre Jean de Smet. Okay. There's Thomas Fitzpatrick. There's Jedediah Smith. Oh yeah, I love American West history, Native American history, just the early exploration of the West, like with the trappers and the mountain men and the Hugh Glass. I remember I cut my teeth on like True West and Old West magazines when I was a little girl, and it's never left me. I still really enjoy reading Western American West history and learning about Native American, the tribes. Just I love all of it. So this came out, like I said, in December 1st. This is available now from Bison Books, which is an imprint of University of Nebraska Press. So the other interesting thing about the University of Nebraska Press is the fact that they also publish some novels, some original fiction. And this is another Bison Books entry here. This is Where Blackbirds Fly by Shan Ray. Let's call it that. Shan Ray. I think that's how you pronounce it. I think this was like the only novel that I might have noticed and said, yeah, I'd like to take a look at this one. So let me tell you what this novel is about. This is a novel in 5 novellas. Where Blackbirds Fly offers a prismatic deep dive into the human heart through fierce narratives of intimacy, both lovely and heartbreaking. Countering social upheaval, Shan Ray affirms the power of empathy, the wisdom of wilderness, and the felt presence of divine mystery echoed in the recurring appearances of blackbirds, as if etching flight patterns of mercy over the landscapes of human life. John Sender and Samantha Valeria Araris seek love in the financial industry, their initial attraction leading to unforeseen perils that will echo in those who enter and exit their lives. The characters of this novel form a compelling cross-section of humanity met with revelation, suffering, and possibility. It's not telling us much, is it, about the plot, but that's okay. With spare and muscular prose, luminosity, and psychological grace, Ray weaves a tapestry as multi-hued as America in a vision of love's transgressive power. So from Bison Books, Where Blackbirds Fly, they're kind of leaving the plot a secret. I guess you just need to start reading it. And I'm saying that to myself. Peg, you just need to start reading it and figure out what's going on here. Yeah, I'm curious to see what some fiction published by a University Press imprint, what this is going to be about. So I wanted to share that with you. Where Blackbirds Fly. Sorry, there's not more on the plot side there, but we'll get to it. So now I think we're kind of delving more into the fiction side of the books that have kind of come in, and I need to clean up for 2025 before we hop into 2026. I've already got my stacks started for January. I've got galleys of books coming out in January, all history. I've got books for February and March stacking up, a mixture of history and fiction. And I'm trying to figure out ways where I can, I guess I should do a poll. Stay tuned for a poll on my channel. I'm going to be asking if I mix history with some fiction titles, or if you like standalone videos where like, this is all fiction. This is all new history. These are fiction books I've read. These are history books I've read. Or would you like a mix? I just need some help there. I'm going to feature these 3 right now, and I probably should have, again, done this in an indie author spotlight, and I still might. And if so, they're going to get double coverage. So I get contacted a lot through my business email address, like I told you guys, by authors, new authors, who say, hey, I've written this book, and I think this might be up your alley, especially if it's historical fiction. And this gentleman was so kind, and he signed his book. Thank you so much, David. There's so many great new authors out there that just don't get the time of day because they don't get, they don't have agents. They don't get signed on by these mega publishing houses, but their work is still really good. There's so many good writers out there. And this book is called The Bugbear Hunter, a novel. And I love the subtitle because it's kind of like those old-timey 1800s long subtitles. So The Bugbear Hunter, or The Seduction and Redemption of Congressman David Crockett. And the author is David Barnett Goldman. Thank you for autographing my copy, David. This is going to be great. So let me tell you, this is available now from Hill Country Press is the publisher. That's a smallish publisher, I believe, but an imprint of Stony Creek Publishers. Yes, I've been reviewing some books from Stony Creek Publishers in Forward Magazine. I've been getting some titles assigned to me that are Stony Creek Publications, and they're a great little publisher. So, this is going to be quality. Let me read here. Step into the rich tapestry of early 19th century America in this masterfully woven tale that stretches from the rugged frontier to the bustling political corridors of Washington City, where legends are born, alliances are forged, and reputations teeter on the edge of ruin. All right, so now we're going to get into the plot here. At the heart of this historical novel is Congressman David Crockett, a larger-than-life figure caught between his humble origins and the seductive allure of power. Through vivid prose and sharp dialogue, David Barnett Goldman paints a portrait of Crockett as both a folk hero and a flawed man navigating the treacherous waters of ambition, loyalty, and betrayal. From his rollicking speeches that charm crowds to his private struggles with debt and moral compromise, Crockett emerges as a complex character emblematic of an era defined by expansion and political upheaval. The novel's supporting cast is equally compelling. We've got Dr. William A. Carruthers, a physician grappling with his own demons, and provides a poignant counterpoint to Crockett's bravado. Ivy Green, a spirited actress whose entanglements blur the lines between artifice and authenticity. And R.C. Crabtree, a tavern keeper whose observations on politics and human nature add depth to the narrative. Together, their stories intertwine against the backdrop of Andrew Jackson's presidency, the contentious debates over the National Bank, and the stark divide between wealthy elites and struggling pioneers. This is great. Goldman's meticulous attention to historical detail immerses readers in the sights, sounds, and social dynamics of early America, from smoky taverns and theatrical stages to the hallowed halls of Congress. Yet The Bugbear Hunter is more than just historical fiction. It's a meditation on identity, integrity, and the price of fame in a rapidly changing world. Oh, yes. So this is out right now. You can find this anywhere. Well, books are sold. Probably you're not going to find it at like Barnes & Noble, but the big behemoth. I know the name that should not be spoken. Amazon, right? Or hey, maybe even Books A Million or whatnot. But check this out. Support our indie authors. Again, I have so many people I want to interview. So I need to get this read so that I can look into maybe having an indie author spotlight interview. I've interviewed indie authors before, and some multiple times, like Scott Edwin Williams with the Lightbulb Moments of Human History, Helena P. Schroeder of the Berlin Airlift, Bridge to Tomorrow series. I've interviewed her 3 times, but one of those was for her book on the English Templar. But anyway, I love. Oh, and then of course Patrick Kirk, baby, whose book I'm editing right now. All right. Love supporting our indie authors out there, especially those writing historical fiction. I just all the love. David, I'll be in touch. Thank you for this copy. And everyone out there, if this sounds up your alley and you like it, I've said up your alley a lot in this video. It's better than saying the other thing. But if this is in your wheelhouse, let's say, and Davy Crockett, come on. You gotta check this book out. Support our indie authors. All right. Cool. I'm gonna come back to that one. Another independent author. Well, the first time I've heard of this guy. This was a massive undertaking for me. I read most of this on my Kindle because they didn't have a print galley at the time. And I was like, it's okay. And I reviewed and wrote a review of this for Forward Magazine. Now, it hasn't been published yet. And so when it does, I'll put it up on social media. I'm going to try to do a better job of being very timely with my book review when they're book reviews when they're posted. My goal is I've got a lot to do this week. I've got a lot to finish up, mega amounts of book reviews I still need to write. I need to review and edit other people's reviews for the next issue of our Historical Novels Review magazine. We're putting to bed the February 2026 issue. and I am reviewing 4 books, actually 5, and one of them is nonfiction, but I can do that one later. Um, I've got a lot going on, but I keep waiting for this one, uh, for my review to be posted. Anyway, like I said, I'll do a better job of being more timely. This was a fantastic book. I was trying to think of a corollary to how to describe this to all of you. Let me just say what it is first. This is from Archway Publishing. What an adventure this book was. This is the Revelations of Grim Lore by William Potter. Now, the subtitle is A Tale of Spectacular Adventures in the 20th Century and a True and Honest Memoir by Grim Lore. Okay? Let me just read you the description and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. Born in Berlin in November 1940, Elias Dean Grim Lore, who has gone by Grim Lore since he was a child, narrates the fascinating events of his life and his family against the backdrop of the 20th century, offering as honest a replication of the facts as he can. Grimm begins by recounting his German-British grandfather's service as a physician in Germany during the First World War, and then the life of his own father, the assistant to the official translator of the German government during the Third Reich, who disappeared with the German Sixth Army at Stalingrad. After spending time in the South Pacific, where his American grandfather served as a diplomat during the Second World War, Grimm and his family moved to Normal, Illinois, where he matures, studies theater at Northwestern University, and eventually moves to Los Angeles to seek employment in the film and television industries. As he pursues a career as a screenwriter and actor during the 1970s and 80s, he encounters, among others, a boisterous producer, a counterculture director, a cannibalistic stalker, and the love of his life, a famous actress who holds a dark secret. Finally, tiring of the Hollywood scene, he decides to try to patent and manufacture a device based in part on the work of his grandfather, a device also coveted by one of the world's richest men, and the ensuing conflict leads Grimm to a remote and mysterious archipelago in the middle of the Indian Ocean called Morro Burra. The Revelations of Grim Lore is a satirical and outrageous novel that explores the events of the 20th century as told through 3 generations of a German-American family. I am still trying to learn more about this author, William Potter, because I want to know how much of this he might have drawn on from his own family. I don't know. He's William Potter, and here's a little picture of the dude having a beer at the bar with the shades on. William Potter holds a PhD in English from the CUNY Graduate Center and is the author of Melville's Clarel and the Intersympathy of Creeds. And that's printed by Kent State University Press. So that book is a comparative religious study of Herman Melville's 500-page poem. So the guy is extremely erudite, and he can write. Each chapter is just, and it has this. Who's the artist? What's the artist on here? I love these Getty's images. I want to know the artwork on the cover because it reminds me of Edvard Munch's The Scream. Yes, it is, but it's not The Scream. So this artwork is from Edvard Munch, and this is Evening on Karl Johan Street. So every chapter has just like that same image, and then it gives you a long, like, in which I relate the story of the evil leader of he goes into, like, his father was in the, he went out and hung out with he was a translator, and he's got stories in here about like Hitler and Rome and all and some of these passages some of them are hilarious and some are so dark and disturbing, like they kind of seared my mind a little bit. I was like, what am I reading? Anyway, my written review of this will hopefully be coming out soon in Forward Magazine, but I want to come back to this I can highly recommend this book. If you just want to get lost in a book, and let me just tell you how many pages we're looking at. Sorry, I'm speaking really fast because I'm really excited about this book. I really invested in this book, and I was not let down. It's over 700 pages, but and especially the beginning. where he's relating the history of his great grandfather, his grandfather, and then his father. Then he talks about his mother and how they went to the South Pacific. And then, yeah, his time in like LA and like Hollywood, some crazy stuff going on there. And it's just witty. The dialogue is super funny and smart. And I really enjoyed this. So I'm really happy that the publisher sent me the final copy of that. Archway Publishing. I'll come back to this again because I hope he writes another book. This was fantastic. And you won't even hear about this, like outside of. I'd like to know if anyone else on BookTube has heard about this book. I think I'm going to come back to this again and just kind of raise the awareness level because it's fantastic. I really love this book. So, yeah, we'll come back to that one. And then I wanted to share with you another. I posted on social media about this on an author tour, but I wanted to just mention that this is a book I'm not finished reading yet because it cannot the tour snuck up on me, but the writing is great. It's got me intrigued, and it's another, I'd say, an independent author, but he's written other novels. And who is the publisher in this one? This might be independently published. Anyway, I love a good historical fiction mystery, using a major figure from the our American literary past, like is it Mariah Fredericks? Where's that book that she did? I was going to show you guys this book. Sorry, it's The Girl in the Green Dress was her most recent book, and the hook there is that there's this this newspaper man who's trying to investigate this murder mystery, and it's set in the 1920s. And he runs into F. Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald. And Zelda she's bored out of her gourd, and just while Scott's writing, she wants to, sleuth. And so, the author, Mariah Fredericks, uses that convention of using a real person from history to kind of infiltrate the mystery. And she did that before to great effect in The Wharton Plot. I loved that book. And that made me want to read all of her stuff. So when I heard about The Girl in the Green Dress, I immediately signed up for that. And I wrote a review of that for Historical Novels Review, which I need to post before the end of this year. Loved it. So this is kind of similar in that, in this case, the detective is Jack London. So we have Jack London and Murder on Nob Hill by Ray M. Schultz. So like I said, I'm about a third of the way through. But it's got me. So let me give you the premise here. 1898, back from the Klondike without the pockets of gold he hungered for, young Jack London finds himself in a desperate struggle to make a living as a writer while supporting his family. But when, on a fog-bound night, he witnesses the execution-style murder of a girl on San Francisco's princely Nob Hill, a killing scratched from the police blotter, his conscience drives him to seek the truth. That journey will lead him into the vice-laden alleys of Chinatown, the black heart of political corruption, and the company of a beguiling woman whose secrets endanger both of them. And there's our author. Looks like he's written 6 other novels. I probably will be checking those out too. So I wanted to share that with you as well. Support our independent authors. All right. Okay. Wow, we're at 58 minutes, but I said this was going to be a mega long video. Okay, let me go back to nonfiction real quick. This is a galley I actually won. This was something I signed up for to see if there was a giveaway. And I got the advanced reader's copy, but this book is already out. This came out in October. But it sounds really interesting. This is The Grave Robbers. Sorry, The Grave Robber. The biggest stolen artifacts case in FBI history and the Bureau's quest to set things right by Tim Carpenter, former head of the FBI's art crime team. This is put out by Harper Horizon Books. All right, so let me give you a little rundown on this one. In The Grave Robber, Tim Carpenter, former FBI lead investigator on the art crime team, recounts one of the most extraordinary and unsettling cases in the history of art theft. Over the course of 5 decades, a lone grave robber accumulated an illicit trove of over 42,000 artifacts from cultures across the globe, including Native American, Haitian, Chinese, and others. The stolen items included nearly 500 ancestral remains, carefully looted from sacred burial sites and cultural heritage locations. Like, what is wrong with people? My goodness, that makes me mad. Carpenter's team, driven by an unwavering commitment to justice, embarks on a harrowing journey to track down this elusive criminal and uncover the full scope of the theft. What they find is nothing short of staggering: an illegal collection of immense historical and cultural significance, hidden away in a Midwestern home, doing no one any good in your Midwestern home. Should be back with the people in places where it has been. It's horrible. I mean, it's grave robbing. What are you doing? Part true crime narrative, part procedural, The Grave Robber offers a gripping behind-the-scenes look at the meticulous work involved in tracking down one of the most prolific art thieves in history. Carpenter takes readers inside the FBI's groundbreaking investigation, detailing the complex challenges of recovering stolen cultural artifacts and the legal and moral dilemmas of repatriating them to their rightful communities. As the case progresses, the narrative expands from a tense pursuit of a criminal to a larger reckoning with history and cultural heritage. The repatriation of these sacred objects and remains to their rightful owners becomes an act of restoration, not just of physical artifacts, but of dignity and respect for the communities whose ancestors were so violently wronged. The story of the grave robber is one of redemption and transformation for the FBI, which redefined its approach to cultural crimes, and for the tribes and cultures who finally see justice done. This riveting account of a stolen past and the quest to make it right reads like a thriller, but it is ultimately a story of the healing, responsibility, and the importance of preserving history for future generations. So The Grave Robber, singular, by Tim Carpenter. So yeah, wow. Yes, definitely want to read this one. This is wild, so wild. All right, so from Harper Horizon, The Grave Robber. Okay. And now I've got four more titles. They're just some random history fiction titles that came in, but and they came out, and I have not. Oh, this is not on sale yet, so I'm gonna save this for January. Sorry, guys. Now we got 3 books to go over. I think this one is out right now, and it's let me see here. All right, I'm just going to show this to you now, as we're now over an hour. But hey, it's the day before New Year's Eve, and this one we got to talk about this one. So this is The New Year's Party. This is like a thriller, suspense. It's going to be a killer night, by Jenna Satterwhite. As you know me, I love a good thriller every now and then. Murder mystery. Let's see. It used to be an annual thing, the raucous New Year's party full of games and hors d'oeuvres, but for Olivia and her friends, the chaos of their 30s has really challenged the definition of annual. It's been a few years since the close friends were last close, but this year is going to be different. The burnout, parenting stress, credit card debt, job drama, marriage troubles, addiction, they're going to set it all aside for the night. No, really, they swear. Oh, except for the secrets. Every last one of them has one. But secrets are only as good as the people you trust to keep them. And when the wrong one slips out, well, friends or not, that just might become motive for murder. Everybody thinks they know their closest friends until somebody winds up dead. So the New Year's party, it just seemed appropriate. Did this book win the prize? I don't know. Let me see here. Here's from the Booker Prize. All right. I was offered this book. I said, this sounds interesting. This is Flesh by David Zalay. Now it says the Booker Prize winner 2025. So I think this was the winner, and not one of his other books. Well, no, yeah, 2025. This is it. All right, let's get into it. Teenage Istvan lives with his mother in a quiet apartment complex in Hungary. Shy and new in town, he is a stranger to the social rituals practiced by his classmates and is soon isolated, drawn instead into a series of events that leave him forever a stranger to peers, his mother, and himself. In the years that follow, Istvan is borne along by the goodwill or self interest of strangers, charting a rocky yet upward trajectory that lands him further from his childhood and the defining events that abruptly ended it than he could have possibly imagined. A collection of intimate moments over the course of decades, Flesh chronicles a man at odds with himself, estranged from and by the circumstances and demands of a life not entirely under his control and the roles that he is asked to play. Again, it's very vague. Shadowed by the specter of past tragedy and the apathy of modernity, Istvan's days hurtle forward until sudden tragedy again throws life as he knows it into jeopardy. Spare and penetrating, Flesh traces the imperceptible but indelible contours of unresolved trauma and its aftermath amid the precarity and violence of an ever-globalizing Europe with incisive insight, unyielding pathos, and startling humanity. So I don't know what it's about, except there's a lot of trauma and tragedy going on in this one. But hey, it won the Booker. So let's check it out. Who's the publisher? Scribner. This is from Scribner. Did I mention which one? The New Year's Party is from Mira Books. Okay, so the final book I have here is another little novel. This is by Emma Pate, or Patty. The publisher is Simon & Schuster. Mary Sue Ricci Books is the imprint. This is Tilt. I love that little bird. We love to feed the birds out back. We've got so many different bird feeding stations. You guys like to feed birds at where you live? Just thought I'd mention that. We love birds. Annie is 9 months pregnant. She's shopping for a crib at IKEA. That's when the massive earthquake hits. There's nothing to do but walk. When the long-anticipated Cascadia earthquake hits the Pacific Northwest, Annie finds herself miles from home with no phone, no money, and no water, and her feet are already killing her. Over the course of one day, Annie makes her way across the wreckage of Portland, desperate to find her husband. As she walks, she encounters moments of despair and extraordinary human kindness. And with startling clarity, she reflects on the crucial choices that led her to this moment, as a daughter, as a wife, as an artist, and as an anxious mother-to-be. If she can just make it home, Annie is determined to change her life. Propulsive, darkly comedic, and filled with heart, Tilt is a primal scream of a novel about the disappointments and desires we all carry and what each of us will do for the people we love. Now, what could be better than that? So it's a book about survival with the big earthquake. Emma Patty, Tilt, from Mary Sue Ricci Books, Simon & Schuster. Well, guys, I think that about cleans up, except for military history, which I do separately in my own military history book roundups. That kind of cleans up all the books I have outstanding for December and for 2025. And I think we're about to move forward now into 2026 with everything's kind of ordered now. I've cleaned things up. So let me know in this very long video what appealed to you. And if I know I asked questions in this video. So if you thought about them and you answered, like, yeah, put them down in the comments. You know, would you like to see a mix of history and fiction like I did here, or would you like them separate? That was one question. Let me know what you thought about these indie books too, and you know what you're going to do to support them. Maybe you can request their books at the library. You know, that doesn't cost you anything. Just say, hey, could you order this for me? I'd like to have this on, I'd like to be able to check it out. All right, so let me go ahead and get these out the way. I'm going to shelve what I can. I'm going to put the galleys in their own space, and got to clean up and make room for all the new things rolling in for 2026. All right, guys, thank you for this extended long video, this mega video to kind of wind up the year. And yeah, until next time, you know who I am. I know who you are. But we'll see you next time, and we'll see you real soon. Join us again, and join us tomorrow, Bill and I, for our live stream, New Year's Eve live stream, 3 to 5 p.m. Easter? How about Eastern? 2 to 4 Central, 1 to 3 Mountain, 12 to 2 Pacific. And we're going to be talking a lot. And this is where you can join us in the live stream and chat away, ask us questions, make comments, make recommendations. We love it. I've gotten so many great book recommendations from just the people chiming in the chat. So, all right, I'm going to try to get this uploaded to you guys so you can hear about this and know about it for tomorrow. Yeah, so we'll see you then, guys. Hope to see you. And if not, Happy New Year. All right, bye-bye.